Hi, I'm Gamma. In this video I want to talk about the Bösendorfer collection of the VSL synchron pianos. It consists of the following pianos. We have here the Bösendorfer 280 VC. It's a new grant in the VSL synchron collection. Then we have the Bösendorfer Imperial. Then we have here the Bösendorfer Upright, which is the current Bösendorfer Upright in the collection. And then we have the old Vienna Imperial, which is also Bösendorfer Imperial. But this has been many years in the market, but still I think it differs to the new Bösendorfer Imperial. Interesting ways. I think I made already a video comparing specifically those two, so I will not really go too much into detail there, but I have included it just for fun. So the thing is, I think I want to talk now about the pianos and my thoughts about them and the differences. If you're really here only to listen to samples or my playing, then please look in the timestamps where I will put this. You can just click on it. So as I said before, this here is the new grant in the collection, and this is recorded in the synchron stage B. As you can see here, the room is much smaller than the synchron stage A. Which is the room which you see here. It's indicated, you can see it's much bigger than the stage B, and it will definitely reflect also in the sound you get. The comparison, how I did this is I just selected the player Deca tree preset because for all grants, because as it says here, it's the ideal recording preset for pianists, the pure playing experience. So I am a solo pianist. I don't use these products for orchestral context or for pop songs or things like that. You would have to watch another video basically, because you can really twist and change these things. But I just picked the preset here, and this also shows how great the presets can sound if you just pick it, because they sound great. And you can see you have also concert hall in the orchestra, and you have intimate and a pop preset. So you get these presets here already. Anyways, but this is only the player preset here. And I made some slight adjustments to the settings here, which I will talk in a moment. But now let's go into more important things. So this is a new grant, and my overall impression is very good. I think the sound quality is really excellent. I normally don't like superlatives, but I think this is really the best sound quality I've ever heard in any VST plugin, just from the sound quality by itself. The noise level is basically non-existent, but at the same time, the highs are really clear. And in fact, they're not only good, they are the best highs I think I've ever heard in a VST, simply because the way you can present melodic lines is really exceptional. Therefore, I will choose pieces where you can hear that, where you have a melodic line in the right hand and then accompaniment, and you will hear that the melodic line is really three-dimensional outside of the accompaniment. It's not just a blur of noise or a piano sound, but you really get a melodic line which totally inspires you, and at the same time, within your hand even, you can really present at much different timbre the accompaniment. I think I've never heard this. I've never had this before with any VST plugin. So I was really shocked almost to see that this is possible nowadays, because that is really, it's another step to the realism in my opinion. It's not only about numbers and about gigabytes, but it's really about the playing experience. I'm just a piano player. I'm an amateur piano player, so I really just play, and then I know how grants sound like, I know how they feel, and so on. But it's really just the joy of playing you get, right? In the end, it's not about money or something. Does it make fun to play? And with that one, it definitely does. And you will hear in the audio examples how much you can really bring out the melodic lines. You can carve them out like a sculpture. That's really crazy. So the second is the Vienna Imperial. This has been released, I think, a year ago, or not quite. And yeah, it is the Vienna Imperial with the famous extra low notes here, which go below the A to the C0, as it's called here. I think it's actually C-1, not sure. So the A is this sound. Nice A, and then we can go deeper to F sharp. Or whatever, D sharp, E flat. Or even to the C. Now this is, I think, a 21 hertz or something, 23. So basically what you only hear is metallic overtones. But you can use this for Liszt. I had one, I think Valentina Lisica did a video with that. And Russian music, you can use that sometimes. And I think you can actually use it for quite some pieces. Maybe Bartók Piano Sonata, I think, uses an F. And so on. Ravel uses in Barque sur l'Océan, he uses G sharp. All of that, no problem with the Bösendorfer Imperial, but that's not the main interest, obviously. So you will hear in the samples I play really the juicy sound, and here it helps that you have a big hall. This is really great for orchestral context, but also the piano solo. So this is more a versatile piano. I think the first one here, you can definitely use it for every music, but as I said, sometimes you just want the extra percent of how much convincing it is, and then you might choose, if you play Liszt Sonata, for example, then you might choose probably the Vienna Imperial, if you have both, you know what I mean? So, because it's just more convincing in that sense. And you will just hear the differences, differences in sound. I really like the fact that they managed to capture the Bösendorfer sound with all of them. Literally, it's easy to hear. I think you will just, I mean, you can tell the difference to a Steinway. It's easy to tell the difference, even with BST plugins, because they're good BST plugins. And yeah, so I think at this point, there is not much more to say. It's really a nice workhorse for every kind of music. As I said, I have also chosen the Player Decker preset, which is the general sound of how it sounds like if you would play this in this hall. Now we have the Bösendorfer Upright, which is the only upright in the Synchron series, I think. Yeah, and it's a Bösendorfer. So this is included here also. I think this picture is really cool. It's nice to look at. And yeah, I guess it's a concert upright with its own unique sound. It sounds like an upright, but at the same time, obviously, with that quality, it's not like my cheap upright. So yeah, you will hear the sound. It's an upright, you know. So yeah, I would if I play some Chopin sonata, for example, and if I have the upright and the, for example, 280 VC, then I would choose this one, of course. But if I choose a jazz piece, maybe you give some nice character with the upright. So as I said, I think I didn't say it. My philosophy is there is not one instrument which you buy and then you have it for the rest of your life and then you are done with searching for new pianos. I think this is not the right way to look at it. You basically want to have always good instruments, obviously. That's why I'm doing these videos, to say that these are good instruments. You can save a lot of, I bought basically everything and you can often save your money, honestly. But the thing is that if you can play classical music, you can play jazz pieces, you can sing a hymn, you can accompany a violin or a singer, you can play a pop song. And in my opinion, for all of these different things, or you can play minimal music, for all of these things, you could use a Steinway. Yeah, you could do that. But maybe you want to have those extra percent of really a special recording, you know what I mean? And then I hope with my examples, first of all, you know if you want to buy them by the sound and by my experience and so on, but also which one to choose, because this is really a process for me over the last months to find out when can I use this or that instrument. I also use other manufacturers or VST plugins, of course, but you have to know which one to use at which point. It helps a lot. Okay, and the last one is the Vienna Imperial, which is a older plugin, might be even 10 years ago. Just a little bit of coffee. And this is, you can say, oh well, I have the Bösendorfer Imperial, I have the new one here. So it's 10 years old, and why should I even consider this? Well, in my opinion, the differences in sound are really quite considerable to the new Bösendorfer Imperial, which is interesting because it's the same brand. But obviously, if you have different recording techniques, if you have two different instruments, I'm willing to bet it's not the same instrument. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But I think not, it's 10 years difference. Anyways, the sound difference is what is important for me. It's not what's written on the paper. It's not about 5 million gigabytes and about $10,000. It's really just the playing experience and the sound. This is my own experience of playing these instruments, and I'm just trying to help you. I think I have experience with playing these T plugins. I'm going to 1,500 videos. Some of them contain 20 pieces and so on. But yeah, it's really interesting how much parameters decide if when a plugin is a good plugin. Also how it feels to play. And for all of them, it's really great how they feel to play. So this is my general overview of those instruments. And now I want to say a little bit about the settings. So I will use the same keyboard velocity mapping for all instruments. So some might be a little bit harsh, some might be a little bit too mellow, which is something you have to adjust per instrument. Of course, ideally you would never have to touch that setting, but for convenience I change it sometimes. This time it's really the same. I have the same volume for all of them. I hope I don't distort too much. I will have to change that later if that happens. And yeah, so what I did is I chose the player preset for all of them. And then I like the sympathetic resonance sound for these pianos. So I put it up to -3, -5 or something, as you can see here. I don't know if there is a setting here, honestly. Yeah, I don't, maybe there is. It's here, but it's also preset to something, so it's okay, -6. Okay, and then I increase the half pedal to 69. Oh, all three to 69, around about 70, because I kind of feel it gels more the sound, but you don't have to change. I put the pedal noise and key release noises very low because I don't want them to distract their extra samples, so it's not really that important. Good, and then the mix, I didn't change anything. I really like the way this looks, by the way. Maybe it's a little bit unfortunate that this selecting tool for selecting the microphones is very close to the presets. So you might accidentally click a preset and then everything is deleted. I don't like this. This should be changed in some other version. But anyways, here I reduce a little bit the maximum voices simply because I don't want to have too much clicks. I hope anyways there are not too many clicks because I'm streaming with OBS. Sorry. So what you have to know also about the performance is that for all of these instruments, first of all, they are really big libraries. This is just really something you have. I mean, look at the Vienna Imperial. Look at this number of microphones. You have room mixes, I think, not a separate microphone. I'm not sure, but you have 3 closed microphones: a condenser, a ribbon, and a tube. And then you have 2 mids, and then you have 2 main, and then you have 3 surround or ambient room mics. So simply because of the fact you have so many room microphones, the size of the libraries really gets into 200 gigabyte territory. With the Vienna Imperial, I think even to close to 300, which is basically the biggest. Maybe there is a bigger one, production voices or something. Anyways, but these are really big libraries. And the thing with that is you really need to have them on a SSD. Otherwise, you will have not good time playing them live, because you have to bear in mind that if you play something, then can I not see the voices? I can see it right now, but normally you can see it's somewhere the number of voices played at the same time, and it can get really quickly to 1,000 at the same time, 1,000 voices, which is a lot for a PC to handle. So you will have voice and crackles and so on. So you can, by the way, this is a tip, you can really reduce these numbers here. I think I wouldn't go lower than 2 here. And here, I think you can go, I haven't tried how low you can go, maybe even to 30 or something, 40, 50. Just for convenience, I use 100 to give, I think even with 100, basically, I accidentally rendered some of my videos with 100. It's almost, you can almost not tell the difference to 1000, which is here, you can see 2 to the power of 10, the highest setting here. Let's go back. Yep. Sometimes what you will need to do is, according to your taste, this setting here is very important. This is the RS level, which is a release sample level. So we have release samples. When I let go of the note, you get this release sample, and then you can change to -infinity, which is basically they are not there, to 0, which is there in the full to the full extent. You can also not go above this. With some other plugins, you can. And sometimes I think they're a little bit loud. I can imagine it's super difficult to program this, so it's really up to your taste. That's all I can say. So you can reduce it to -3. You can even go to -8 if you really want a more, a more crisp sound, or a more, I don't know the right word. I would use the release samples, honestly. They're good. But I will leave them at 0, and then we will look what happens. And for the Vienna Imperial, I also choose the player preset. So these are the low notes here with the nice black, as it's with the original, they are black. And I think you can already hear the samples are not quite of the same quality as the Vienna Imperial. But I don't decide how good a piano is by, let's say, those notes which I use once in a year. You know what I mean? So you will hear the sound. And here I changed the polyphony to the highest setting. I enabled this 2-sus function. I loaded all samples, and the rest I left. Actually, I always like the Mozart hall, but I think I just leave the medium hall. It's fine. So yeah, just to sum it up, the 280 VC is really great for intimate music, for music where you have explicit melodic lines, which is a lot of music, honestly, especially in the Romantic era. It's good for music where the room sound should be a little bit more confined. Then the Bösendorfer, let's go back to this here. And by the way, I set all volume to the maximum just for consistency. The Bösendorfer Imperial is just versatile, grand for all applications. You can change it in a lot of different directions, and it gives you really big sound, obviously. And the Bösendorfer Upright is a upright, so you have to know for which pieces you want this upright sound, but then you get a really good upright sound. So in the market, so the Modern U is really good. It's very great upright, but this is also very great upright, and it sounds different, and you will hear how it sounds. And then we have the Vienna Imperial, which is again a Bösendorfer Imperial, but with a much different sound to it. So what I will do now is I play some samples and I will change the camera now. So yeah, this is a really beautiful piece by Felix Dreyschock, Etude in G minor. It starts with pianissimo, so I use the una corda pedal for that. And I think the clarity is really astonishing. I hope you could hear how clear you can bring out different melodic lines. They have really their own space. And for example, here in the left hand, we have the following melodic line. And then at the same time, we have a lot going on above it in piano, in this low register. But notice how you can still really sculpt the melodic line here. And so on. So there is so much facets of sound you can bring out. It's really great. So the second piece I will play now is from Yuri Slonov. It's a slow waltz, and this one has been always quite difficult to perform on a VST plugin because there is a lot of stuff going on in the same register and the melodic line in the right hand here. So notice how I will now try to really bring out this melody, but at the same time you can clearly tell which harmonies are there. I really hope it was clear what I mean, because to me it's so obvious. It just feels so nice to play. It's okay. So for this piece, this is really the best plugin I've ever played. It's so good to it feels so nice to play. The way you can put out the melodic line without really having to smash on it. The velocity mapping is just awesome. It's just a great playing experience. I mean, just the first measures, it should be clear. This is so clear. It's like cut with a sword. Yeah, I really like it a lot. So this is all for the 280VC. So now let's go to the Bösendorfer Imperial. So now let's listen to some examples of the Bösendorfer Imperial. I have here from Wieniawski the Valse Caprice Opus 46, and I will try to play the section at the end, which gets really brillante, and it should give a good impression of the big sound you can get with this instrument. I hope it doesn't distort too much, because even in the player preset there are a lot of microphones, I think 4 or 5, and I've left it like that. I only reduced the overall volume a little bit because it distorted. So let's listen to that. Yeah, very big sound and sounds really nice, I think. You can also be very gentle, as I hope you heard in the piano sections, and also bring out a small melodic line, but then you have this huge dynamic range with this instrument. So the second piece I want to play now is from Didier Squiban. It's in his set Porz Gwenn, the fifth piece, the variation number 5. It's Le Petit Air Marin, so the little marine air. And this is more like an improvisation. So this is not a big loud sound, but this is more a intimate character which you can get here. and so on and so on. So a really beautiful piece, but I think this gives you an impression of the intimate sound you can get out of this instrument. And now let's move on to the upright. For the upright, I have from Milan Dvorak, from his set of jazz etudes, he has two sets, I have the sixth etude, which is a bossa nova beat. And it might be suitable for this upright here. I haven't played on it, so let's see how it gets. By the way, here I really did increase now the sensitivity, MIDI sensitivity to 20, because I want to have a little bit more expressive sound. I don't want to have that super fine distinguish between pianissimo and piano, but more fortissimo sound also. Yeah, very beautiful. It gives a nice character for this piece. I think I would even increase a little bit more the MIDI sensitivity. And uprights are a little bit more difficult to handle than the grands. They just work. So, but here we still had a nice dynamic range and the nice little mellow quality of the upright, which you have to decide if it fits with the piece you want. You might play some improvisation, then you can really get a nice characterful sound. And so on. So very beautiful sound, completely different to the other grands so far. Now let me play something completely different, which is now a video game, which is called Kingdom Hearts. And here I try to play now the famous intro theme, Dearly Beloved, which I think appears in all three games so far, from Yoko Shimomura. And the piano arrangement is by Natsumi Kameoka. I get goosebumps in the end. Just a very beautiful, warm tone in its own unique way. So that's the great thing about it, that these instruments really have their own soul, and they're not just generic pianos, like Grand One or something. This is really a certain tone you get. And so this is now for the Bösendorfer Upright. And did I miss something? Well, I have here the blue Bossa, which I might try. So maybe you want to play the famous Kenny Dorham. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. The arrangement is by Gerhard Kölbel. But anyways, some jazz, goes a little bit like this. So some jazz here, and now the last thing is to play some things on the Vienna Imperial. And since we are already here, why not try again a little bit of blue bossa on this instrument. Now you will notice it sounds a lot sharper, the velocity mapping is quite high, but let's see if we can be a little bit more pop song here. And so on. And let's go back to our little improvisation in the Didier Squiban fifth variation. So really the thing with this Vienna Imperial is the playability is so good. It's incredible. I don't know why. It just feels so comfortable to play, to really play some quiet things and loud things. And I will show you now how loud this can get with, again, the Wieniawski Valse Caprice. This is really impressive. Yeah, I think I don't need to add anything, right? I mean, that's really impressive that this is such an old grant, but or plugin, but still has these. And I hope you can hear the difference to the new Bösendorfer Imperial. It's like really two different instruments. Play a little bit of Dearly Beloved. Yeah, I am basically speechless. It's such a great sound. And I think one really important difference to the Bösendorfer Imperial, the new Synchron product, is that they left some imperfections in this instrument. So you have some slightly out of tune notes. If it really bothers you, you can change them in the settings. But I think I quite like it. I think there is one note which is a little bit too much for my taste. I'm not sure right now. Maybe F sharp or something. But the other ones are really just... I mean, listen to the top notes again. And I just love that they sound so fragile and imperfect. That's really nice for this piece. So real because it's not a perfect mathematical sound, but it's really a like in the real world you will basically never have a perfectly tuned grand. So this is a really special quality to this, and obviously you can get really crazy dynamic range. I mean, just listen to this pianissimo, and then again the Wieniawski I had before. Suddenly you can fill a concert hall with 1,000 people. Or you can have this really pianissimo sound. So I'm really in love with, and you can read in threads and forums, people say this is still their favorite instrument, and I can really understand why, because it has such a unique position. And I'm not trying to sell the instrument to you, but I just want to point out that it's really like that. It has completely its own characteristics, which you don't find in the other instruments. So I recommend all 4, if this wasn't clear so far. Obviously, that's a lot of money. I understand that also. So I would say if you play a lot of jazz or pop music, then you should consider the upright. If you like the upright sound, if you really want a grand, then to be honest, I think I would really buy the new Bösendorfer, because it's one of the best playing experiences I've ever had. The playability is just so great. And the realism you can put in melodic lines is really what sells it for me. And like a lot of music consists of melodic lines somewhere. Even if you play a Bach fugue, then you need to really put out those themes, and you can do that so nicely with that instrument. And then this is really my first suggestion. And then you basically have left the other 2 Bösendorfer Imperials. And they are completely different. So again, it's like a case distinction. What do you want? Do you want to have like a slightly more imperfect sound, a slightly edgy sound, like the Vienna Imperial, which I have here, has a more metallic, harsher sound. And those words have negative connotations, but I wouldn't necessarily say so. Some people like that. Some people like to have... I just played a really low register A major, like in a Beethoven manner, and still you can completely tell what harmony it is and put out all different notes. I can even go lower than that, like let's say F major. And that's really like a F major which just stands there, you know? So that's definitely a forte of this one. But on the other hand, the other Bösendorfer Imperial has better samples, especially in the low register. They are just fuller, they are rounder. You have more microphone positions. You have an overall, I wouldn't say better playability. I would not say. The Vienna Imperial is already really great in that direction. But you get a definitely warmer sound. And yeah, you can tweak it more, because you can put a condenser mic, which is a very versatile closed mic microphone position. And in the full version, you can put the ribbon mic, which gives you a little bit more the Vienna Imperial sound. So basically there you have both in some sense. Or you can put the tube mic, which is really a very bass heavy sound. So this one is good for if you play minimal music or something, and if you want to really have this nice bass fundament. I don't know. But that's the thing for this one. And yeah, both I think are really nice for orchestral context. As I said, my philosophy, I would use also other plugins for specific purposes, but these instruments basically they are for all music you can ever imagine. And maybe you also take the Steinway from VSL or the CFX, slight difference in the sound, what you want more, and then it's like you have all instruments you would ever need basically, with how much you can tweak them. So I hope this was kind of some kind of interesting and helps you to decide. You can put comments. I will try to help you with your decision. So the thing is, for me, I play every day. You know, I play several hours basically every day, or as much as my work allows me to play. And it's really my main hobby basically, and it's giving me such a joy to sit down and play. So for me, it's worth it to pay this money. You have to decide it on your own if it's worth it for you. But that's really something you can think about. What do you spend your money on? And I think it's really, if some people or something deserves, or the value is there, then you can buy it. And I think you can even try it if you're not sure. So anyways, that's all from my side, and see you in the next video.